Back on micro again. Not a crazy amount done, just working out a few bits. So that coolant loop, you can't even see down there actually. Sort of can. There's a pipe, that one, not clamped on yet or anything, but it's the right shape and it fits, which is good. I've put a P-clip on the throttle cable and it goes under now. Wraps around, looks a bit better. Main thing I've been trying to work out is the fuse boxes and stuff, because if I can help it, I don't want to put the battery in the bay, I want it in the boot. And there's a few ways to do it. Some people de-loom all this and put it all in the footwell, or route it round and under the wing, but I still want it in the engine bay, because I don't think the boxes look that ugly. It's just the big battery sat there and give me more room for an intake. So I'm trying to work out a way to have these in the bay, and I've got it in a position where all the right wires reach. So you've got your positive terminal, there's also that goes onto the positive terminal, so they reach to the firewall here, where there'll be like a junction box, and I can just cut that off, put a terminal on it, cut that apart and make it into a terminal, and have that on the firewall. Ground wise, you can just cut it there, and you've still got your cable, and you could just crimp another big terminal on there to where you ground it in the boot and move it around. These all reach when they're sat here, and it's just, I don't know a way to get it to look nice, because I'd have to figure out a way to mount this. That pokes out, and then the brake lines there, so it's sort of sat on top of that. But make a bracket to mount it to the shock tower, don't know. That one again, not sure. Might be able to cut up the original battery tray and, you know, reuse some of the clips, because they sort of slide into those clips. But yeah, in theory now, like if I had a junction box and popped it on and turned it on, it would still work. All the wires reach and everything, and I think that's an okay place for them, you know, just sort of there in the engine bay, because I still want to be able to access them. Beautiful. So I ended up buying that Davies Craig kit. It's an EWB 150. It comes with the control and everything, but I've just got a water pump out here. Try and mock up all the hoses. So bought this. It's like a silicon U bend. I have to cut it down, but it'll go onto there, across, and then 90. So that's one of the issues I'm having, is like, I was going to get an EWP 80, which even then it's got bigger hoses, because that's 28mm hose size, and this is like 38. But the cool thing about the 115 is it's got threaded inners, which are 16 AN. So I've looked online, they're a little bit expensive. I might be able to find cheaper ones. You can get 16 AN to 1-inch hose fittings, which I think 28 would be fine on. So I could have two fittings out of there, which take it to a barb. And then if I move, that's the cross pipe, it's alley. So you've got a 90 off of there. This is just mock-up hoses. So you could have it into there and then just straight up to there. Now I'm not sure about the things of running the pump like at a slight angle like that. I think you can for like bleeding it, but I don't know what it'd be like when using it. I think it'd be okay. So then, what's been happening with the Sierra? So in the last video I mentioned about the diff making a whining noise, and yeah, it's just not being good. So I put a new diff in it. So first off, I got this diff, picked it up, seemed like the right one, but then I got home and I measured it, and the cups are the wrong size. So my car has 100mm diameter drive shaft cups, and this is 108. But also, you'll notice if you turn them, it goes the same direction. Now this isn't a welded diff, so it's actually an LSD. I was sold this as like an open diff, just a normal one like mine, but it's actually 108mm cup, 364 ratio COSI diff, which is an LSD. I really wanted to put this into my car, but I couldn't find a way. There is a way you can make shafts with 108mm ends, but it's hard to find the right ones, and so I sort of given up on that. I've put a new diff, but I thought I'd show you the old diff. So that's the diff that came out. I popped all the cover bolts back on now, but I pulled all the fluid out of it, just sort of have a look, see what's actually gone wrong. So the pinion, when you turn it, it's quite rough and horrible to turn. But when I pulled the oil out, there was a lot of noises, and these fell out. So I think these are like little blobs of weld where they come unstuck. And these were the ones that came out. However, I think a few more of these would have got sort of chewed up by the gears, which obviously added metal to the fluid, and I think that's what destroyed the bearings. So shifter rod, made a poly bush for the end, which is turned out okay. And this is the rear shifter mount thing. It's like a rubber thing that's all flexible and horrible. I've ordered a bit of box section, so we're going to cut it off and then weld a bit of box section on to sort of replace this and have a solid mount. Make my own rather than buying one cheaper. So I thought I'd show you this Sierra. That's the new diff I put in. Yeah, so I painted the cover on it. One of these drive shaft bolts rounded off, it's that one up there, so I have to find another bolt for that. But a new diff's in, and it works pretty well. Just sort of trying to adjust the track in. These broke off at the gearbox mount. That's the gearbox mount. And these are like snapped off. Just shit. Loads of sealing on there. Currently sort of figuring out the battery, the way the battery's going to go. So you've got these two fuse boxes. These would originally sit on the battery tray that sits here, but I want to put the battery in the boot. So I figured out I can mount that onto that original battery post hole, cable tie that to that, and we'll just have to clean those wires up. And then that's got to go to positive, so that'll go there, and that'll go there as well. And I've got this little junction box which I'm going to mount on there somewhere. So I'll have those two going onto one post and another post with a battery cable that runs through. So the battery's going to be mounted here. Those two things are, one was the original hole which had this like hook in, and then I put a riv nut in that one, and the original battery tray is just going to bolt into there. I'm going to cut all the excess brackets off that, all the stuff we don't need. Other stuff, a few little bits, painted all the Dizzy up so it looks a bit better, and I've also painted the engine mount as well, so that's all sorted. And I've also repainted the bracket that holds it on as well. There's the battery tray. So this had mounted the engine bay, then those fuse boxes would slot onto these little brackets. So what I'm going to do is basically just cut them off, have it so it's just like a plain tray, and then I'm going to wire wheel it and then paint it up just so it looks decent in the bay. That's something I haven't showed. So this is the gear stick bracket, and this end would usually have a I've already made it, was sort of half made. You'd have a bracket, then this little thing, and that bolts through the end, and that sort of acts as like a rubber kind of thing. You can buy, Gizfab will do like a polybush one, but I saw someone made like solid ones. I would like 40 quid for them, so I was like, oh, fuck it, I can make that myself. So all it is a bit of box section. It's going to weld to the plate where I've cleaned it up, and then just a bolt hole, and then that'll bolt onto the end of there, like that, I think, and then be solid. Ignore that, that's fun. Painted the alternator as well. Actually came out quite nice, to be fair, really, for like the sort of the minimal prep work I did. This paint I'm using actually is pretty sick. It's high coat aluminium coat. Like, I'm doing the minimum amount of prep to these parts, you know, just like wire wheeling them and sort of not even fucking doing it well, and it comes out mint with that. So yeah, I'm going to paint this in the gloss black. I meant to get satin black, but I accidentally got gloss, but it's fine. Yeah, so let's get these brackets cut. So that's the majority of the brackets all cut off. I'm just going to go around with the flap wheel now and sort of clean up all these bits. I might just actually give a bit of angle to those so they're not poking out like that. I've just been working out with my dad what I'm going to do cable wise. So I'm going to crimp that end and then the end off of that, into one and then mount it on there. I've cleaned up and painted the tray, so that's mounted in there now. A little bit of movement, it should be solid enough. And all I've got to do is make a ground cable off of that. So that I was going to reuse the old one, but for the sake of it, I think I'm just going to, my dad's got cable, I'm just going to get a new terminal and a little fitting to mount it. I'm going to get a new cross brace bit as well, because that's all horrible and rusty, and try to get new ones of these. Again, they're all horrible and rusty, but yeah, that's on the passenger side as well, so seriously sort of distribute the weight a bit more. Should be sound enough. And I can just run the power cable through the building along the side to the back itself. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it this way or not, but I've modified the terminals that are already on these to fit this. And I put a riv nut in there. I need to redo that though, because it's not fully solid, but this is where it's going to be effectively. I've just got to tidy up all these plugs basically. I'm going to re-tape them, I think. It just looks a bit horrible, and that's going to be cable tied to that. I forget what that's for, to be honest. But yeah, weather's looking quite bad, so I think that's going to be it for today. Thanks for watching again. A bit all over the place this episode, because I've sort of filmed clips here and there, but it is what it is. Yeah, got a few bits done, so see you in the next one.